Hey guys, hello, my name is Sarah and I will be helping you all through these next couple of weeks of our yoga move sessions here with Vacation Bible School. And I'm extremely excited to get to do this for you all and really help you all get moving and just doing all of something that is really good for your body. This is my cat. Her name is Ananda, and she will more than likely be joining us in a lot of these videos. Today we're going to kind of start it off nice and slow. Just start with the basics of what we're going to be doing. A lot of yoga, it's just really quiet. It's meant to be kind of on your mat, focusing on your breath. So one thing I like to do is I like to shake stuff out before I start. But once we finish shaking, we really have to commit to this calm sort of breathing fun that we can create inside of our body. So what we're going to do at the start of each yoga class is we're going to stand on our mat or your towel, and you don't want to leave your mat. So you want to stay within your towel, your blanket, or your mat, and you just want to shake. So shake it out. Come on. Shake all the energy out. Get silly. Just let it all go. And then come down and slowly start to make your way onto your butt. And then we're going to do it again. So before we shake it out here, we're going to rock side to side. We're going to find these two hard bones under our glute muscles. So under our butts, there are these two really hard bones that are called sit bones. So we sit on these bones. They're really nice and hard. They're hard to miss. So rock side to side. Find those bones, and once you feel like you have bone on your mat, let your knees fall open. Take your hands to your side and then get silly. Shake it out. Come on, shake it out. Let everything go and then come into that stillness that I talked about. We're going to try to create some fun kind of energy-based movement with our breath. So bring your hands into your lap, rest them on the knees, maybe bring them to a prayer at your heart. You can place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly, whatever is really calling you today. I'm going to place my hands in my lap, and we're going to take nice, slow breaths. So what I mean by this is we're going to try to take as long as an inhale as possible, and then without straining ourselves. So we're not looking for where we can't breathe. We're looking for a moment where it kind of is just like our breath naturally stops, and then we're going to start to exhale, trying to make our inhales and our exhales the same length. So I'll do this with you at the first time. So take a big inhale and then exhale, let it go. So inhale in, exhale, let it go. And then close your eyes for a moment. So close your eyes, see all those fun colors running around inside when you close your eyes. And then we're going to say something on our inhale. We're going to say, I see, as we take a big inhale. So we take our inhale, I see, and then exhale and welcome. So we're going to do that 3 times. So our inhales, we're going to say out loud, maybe yell it, maybe just whisper it, do any sound length that you want. So when you're ready, take a big inhale and say, I see. And then exhale and welcome. I see, inhale. Exhale and welcome. Inhale, I see. Exhale, I welcome. And then we're going to move into our next yoga pose. So whenever you're ready, open your eyes and bring your hands in front of you and see if you can just roll yourself all the way forward, coming onto hands and knees. Bring your big toes to touch behind you. So I'm just turning just so you guys can see kind of what I'm talking about. So my big toes are touching behind me, and I'm gonna walk my knees nice and wide, maybe to the length of your mat, maybe to the length of your towel. You're gonna untuck your toes and place them on the mat. Sink your hips to your heels. See if you can get your heels to touch your butt. If not, you can always take a block, place that block either on your heels, maybe place them on the mat. You can grab a blanket and lay it right here, or a pillow, or whatever is comfortable, and just make this pose comfortable. Maybe ask your mom or your dad to grab you that pillow or that blanket and either place it under your shins, in between your shins and your thighs, or grab that book. You can grab 2 or 3 books and place them under there. And then when you're ready, just start to walk your hands nice and long. And once your hands are on the mat, tuck your chin into your chest and bring your forehead down onto the mat. And just for a moment, take a big inhale. Send out the biggest sigh. Make it audible. Make a nice loud sound. So we're in our child's pose. We're really allowing ourselves to relax. And we're taking those nice deep inhales and exhales. We're creating that fun time through our breath. So see if you can take your inhales and your exhales as you stay here in this pose for as long as comfortable. Knowing that this pose is a position where we can connect with God's creation. We can connect with the earth and the space around us that God created. And we're able to feel God's spirit within each of us as we bow our bodies and our hearts to Him, to God. We're here in this pose and we're breathing in God's creation. And as we breathe it in, we can kind of feel it moving around inside of us. We feel the creation that God has created just kind of swimming around inside of us. And then as we exhale, we honor that feeling and we bow deeper into ourselves and into the support that God creates for us. So from this child's pose, we're going to move up into a tabletop. So rise all the way up onto your hands and your knees and see if you can get hips directly over your knees and your shoulders directly over your wrists. And then take a moment and see if you can spread each finger nice and wide. See how wide you can get your fingers. Maybe rock side to side for a moment. And then come to a nice flat back as we create a nice, strong, steady tabletop. Tabletop is such a great pose to come to when we're trying to ground ourselves. So really ground down through your hands and take a moment and see if the inside of your elbow is smiling in or smiling out. So if the inside of your elbow, where your elbow bends, if it's smiling out, see if you can just turn your elbows to smile in. So you want that crease of your elbow to really be facing in, smiling into the other elbow. So maybe make that adjustment. Find your nice wide fingers again, and then come back into your nice, steady, grounding tabletop. Really feeling this grounding. Really feeling this steadiness. And just creating room in your body. And creating that room by rocking side to side. Maybe rocking back and forth. Just taking this moment to create as much groundness and steadiness and room as possible. And once you've found all of that room and your steady, nice tabletop, we'll come back to grounding into a nice still tabletop, really soaking up all of this room that we created as we remember that there is room at God's table for everyone. So take a big inhale. Send out a big exhale. Send out a big, nice, big sigh. As you just remember that everyone is welcome at God's table. And then we'll get ready to move into our downward facing dog. So how we're going to move into downward facing dog is we're going to tuck our toes. See if you can get all 10 toes to tuck under you. And then start to lift the knees. Rise the hips nice and high. Reach them nice and high. And if this feels weird at all, you can walk the feet in. You can walk the feet back. You can rise up onto your tippy toes. You can bend the knees. You can rise up onto fingertips if maybe one arm is a little shorter than the other. And just start to take your dog for a walk. So bend one knee and then the other. Yeah, take your dog for a walk. Allow this pose to be nice and fun, move around. And then we're going to come back to that stillness, that creating the fun with our breath as we send our hips high. Stretch your hips as high as you can reach them. Wiggle your tail nice and high to the ceiling. And then exhale. Sink into your hands and really push the weight of your body into your hands. And then see if you can sink your heels to the mat. And maybe that's uncomfortable and you rise back up onto tippy toes. Maybe you bend both knees a little bit. Whatever is comfortable, make this pose feel nice and yummy for you. As we really stretch into our body. In this pose, we're allowing ourselves to stretch and to be prepared to see what's to come after. So maybe you find some stillness, maybe you keep it silly and you keep bending one knee and then the other, and you're just getting stretched. You're stretching out your legs and your back. You're stretching your mind so that you can prepare yourself for everything that's to come that will follow this pose and this class. And then we're going to move into our next pose. So how we're going to do it is we're going to pull our shoulders forward. Our shoulders are going to start to stack over our hands. Maybe you walk the feet back to really line your hips with your shoulders. So the hips aren't really high up to the ceiling anymore, but they're not sinking down low into the mat. Instead, you're coming back to that table just with lift knees. We're coming into a high plank. Of course, if this is really, really challenging for you, you can lower the knees and come into a low plank. A low plank's a little bit different than a tabletop though. Here in low plank, our hips are a little bit in front of our knees. And now we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna lower all the way down to our bellies. So see if you can bend elbows into ribcage, lower all the way down, have fun with it. See if you can get belly, hips, and shoulders to meet the mat all at once. Coming all the way down onto our bellies and looking forward at the front of our mat. So we're here on our bellies. I'm actually gonna turn to face you all a little bit, just so you can see a little bit better of what I'm doing. So how we're gonna start with this pose is we're gonna wiggle our hips side to side and start to take your knees and your toes wide. See if you can bring the toes to the outside edges. So get your toes to graze the sides of your blanket, your towel, or your mat. And then come to a nice pause, and then pull your elbows into your rib cage as much as you can. Really sink down into your hips, and when you're ready, lift your chest, lift your shoulders, lift your belly, neck, and your head, and come into a nice Cobra Pose. So how we're in this pose is we're not straightening the whole arm, but instead we're bending the arms, and we're really pulling the heart forward. Imagine a string, pulling your heart forward. And look forward. Take a big inhale, pull your heart forward. Let that string pull your heart as much forward as it can. Exhale. Just sink here in this pose for a moment. Inhale here. This pose is such a great pose to really welcome the day in as we face the sun. And we can welcome what this day holds for us as we move forward. Take one more big inhale, pull the heart forward. Exhale, come all the way back down onto your mat. And then we're gonna push up, tabletop, and then downward facing dog. So push up onto hands and knees. We've done this before, so we're coming into our downward facing dog. We're tucking the toes, lifting the hips high, coming into a nice upside down V, rising the hips high, sinking the chest back to the thighs. Again, making this pose comfortable. Maybe rising up onto your tippy toes, maybe coming up onto your fingertips. Again, just make this pose comfortable. So we're here in our downward facing dog. Our hips are wagging up to the ceiling. They're reaching as high as they can. Take one big inhale. Exhale, let something go. Just allow your breath to get silly. Have fun with it. Take a big inhale. Exhale, let your breath come out. Have some fun. And now we're going to have a little bit more fun. So walk your feet to touch if they aren't already. We're going to have two options. You can bend the knees and try to hop your feet to your hands. Or of course, if that is like way too much and challenging for you, you can tiptoe your feet all the way to your hands, bending the knees as much as possible. So bend the knees so that your stomach is actually touching your thighs. Kind of give yourself a hug. Give your thighs a nice big hug with your stomach. And then tuck chin into chest. Let arms dangle long down onto the mat. Start to bend the knees even more. Sink the weight of your body into your feet. Slowly start to rise up. See if you can imagine like you're a roly-poly. You're slowly curling yourself taller and taller. Slowly stacking everything on top of everything. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Seeing how slow you can move. Move like you're moving through honey. It's sticky and it's making you move really, really slow. And then when you get there, roll your shoulders up. Let the shoulders touch the ears. Exhale, roll the shoulders back to the wall behind you and then down the back. Do that one more time. So roll the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, roll them back and down and sink into your feet. Coming into our Tadasana pose. Hands coming to heart center. And then if you want to do this flow one more time, we're going to start with that big shake. And then make our way down into our forward fold. So just folding all the way down, bending the knees, stomach resting on thighs, planting the hands. We're going to step it back into a plank pose. So again, we have a nice flat back. We're sinking into our hands. Of course, you can bend the knees and come into our low plank. And then we're going to lower all the way, belly to mat. Come on, lower all the way down. Keep hands under your shoulders as you wiggle your hips wide so that knees and toes can come to the outside edges of your mat. Untuck your toes. Pull your elbows into rib cage and then inhale, lift chest, shoulders, maybe belly, neck and head. Really pull your heart to the front of the room. Exhale, come all the way back down. Bring knees and ankles back into one straight line from your hips and then push up all the way into your tabletop. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, hips go high, gaze and chest kind of sink back in the direction of the legs. And then bend the knees as we take one big inhale. Rise the hips nice and high. And then jump, step, tiptoe all the way back into that deep kind of hugging of the thighs to our stomach. Send out a big exhale. Bend the knees even deeper. Roly-poly, roll yourself all the way to a stand. Roll all the way up slowly. Rolling, seeing how slowly you can stack everything back on top of the other part of your body. Rolling your shoulders up to your ears. Exhale, roll the shoulders back behind you and then down your back. I'm just turning to face you all. You guys can stay where you are. Hands coming to your side. Take one big inhale. And then as you exhale, bring hands to heart center. Coming into our Tadasana pose. And just close the eyes for a moment if you haven't already. And come into this pose. This nice standing pose that kind of brings together everything that we've looked at. It brings together God's creation and how his creation supports and holds us. It comes to our breath of feeling God's creation swimming around inside of us. It allows us to feel grounded and stable, just like in our table. And here in this pose, we remember that everyone is welcome at God's table. So to keep that in mind, we're going to bring our fingers to our foreheads and just ever so slightly bend your chin into your chest. So tuck your chin to your chest, fingers at forehead, eyes are still closed. And know that you are also God's creation. Just like your mom and your dad, your siblings and your friends and your neighbors, and the person that sits next to you in your English class, they are all God's creation. And we are all welcome at God's table. And by saying namaste, our yogi saying of namaste, it means that we are honoring the God that is in all of us. We are honoring that we are all God's creation and that we are all welcome and loved and honored at his steady, grounded table. So namaste. All right, well, there you guys have it. That was our first week of our yoga move class, and I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you had fun, kind of learning how to have fun with your breath and just bringing it into moving and kind of just getting nice and some nice movement in. I am so happy that I got to do this with you all, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. So until then, have fun. Bye.